Now, KKTV 11 Sports with Richie Cozzolino.
The Broncos officially waving the white flag on the 2020 season. Yeah, another loss, this time against the Bills, and Denver now officially eliminated from the playoffs for the 5th straight year. The stands here at Dutch Clark Stadium can normally fill up to 15,000 screaming Pueblo football fanatics. Not this year, though, for one of the most intense rivalries in high school football history. Everything about the Stadium Series here at Falcon Stadium was incredible. The fanfare, the theatrics, the atmosphere. The one thing that wasn't great, though, the final score. Avs losing means they drop a spot in the Western Conference, and the fact of the matter is they're not happy about it. Stunning. I mean, we knew it was going to be a close game. It's the state title game, for crying out loud, but I don't think we expected a Palmer Ridge defeat of this magnitude. Every week seems to get a little better in 2020. The Broncos forced 3 turnovers last week. Before that, they only forced 2 all year. So it's about building on that and making sure the offense keeps up. I like seeing the messages on like social media where it says it's month 9 of March 2020.
It's so true.
When are we getting out of that? Coors Field, downtown Denver, 20th and Blake Street is normally packed. I couldn't be standing here because people would be cheering and screaming. Not the case this year. For the 98th annual Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. Of course, always a strange morning on the mountain. Once again, race was delayed from the very start, about 2 hours due to icy conditions on the road. Broncos surrender a last-minute field goal to the Chargers and lose their 10th game of the season, which means all eyes now in the tank. Now, the big story of the day, Karl Dorrell, new head coach of Colorado, finally starts his reign. If you remember, Mel Tucker bolted in the offseason after only 1 year, so with a young offense, new staff, and only family and a couple friends allowed inside Folsom, the Buffs could have been excused for a slow start tonight. That is not what happened at all. First quarter, Jarek Broussard, 6-yard touchdown extension there, puts the Buffs up early in this one, and the very next Bruins drive, how about this play? Picked off by Carson Wells. He rumbles to the UCLA 1. Broussard would punch it in. It's 14-0, 5 minutes in. Second quarter, Sam Neuer to Brady Russell, wide open. 21 points now for the Buffs. The offense was great, and the defense was making plays too. How about Darian Rakestraw coming up with that fumble there? And once again, the Buffs make them pay. Broussard had 3 scores in the first half. Colorado had 35 points in the first 30 minutes of this one. It tightened up a bit late, but how about the final score there? 49-42, a win for Dorrell and the Buffs to open the season. What could bring one of the country's best boxers to tears? To understand the emotion from Sean Chives' last fight, you need to go back to one of his first.
Got beat up by one of the guys that's on the team right now. And I remember telling one of my coaches, I don't want that to ever happen again. What do we got to do?
Sean never stepped into a ring until he arrived at Air Force. But it wasn't long until he was turning heads, especially in his junior year.
He really just caught fire in March and April. Everybody that stepped in the ring with him knew the kind of power he had in his hands, and he was doing a lot of damage.
I mean, that guy, he might have a relatively slight stature, but his hands hit heavy.
Last year, that passion paid off for Sean. A national champ at 132 pounds, etching his name into Falcon history.
It was amazing to have all your energies and all your effort, hard work to finally pay off and get what you wanted in the end.
Sean is an animal. You know, I mean, that guy in the ring, outside of the ring, he's dedicated to his craft. He's dedicated to the craft of his teammates. Completely selfless. He's a model leader.
Fast forward to the 2020 season, Sean, now a senior, ready to defend his belt when life threw a sucker punch.
I slipped, fell, hit my leg on the stairs, and I was in a tremendous amount of pain. One that I'm not usually used to. I thought nothing of it, said I should be fine, but it just persisted. The pain was still there.
After bouncing between specialists, Sean finally got the news. Sarcoma, cancer in the tissue of his leg. Weeks before the postseason, Sean's boxing career was done.
I definitely got frustrated. There were some times where I was asking why, and it was, I think, my mom that kind of had me realize, God has a different path for you. Don't ask why. Ask him to open your eyes to see what path, what can I be? Maybe I'm inspiration.
His final fight in the ring at last week's Wing Open. Of course, a victory for Sean and an emotional moment for all.
You react how they react, and Sean was all about strength and embracing this as a fight. So when he comes at it, he's like, I'm ready for a fight. I'm going to win this one too. That kind of sets the tone for everybody else.
Sean's next fight, chemotherapy. It's one bout he doesn't plan on battling alone.
Love this team so much where it didn't really matter at the end. They had my back, and I will always have theirs.
If anyone's capable of, taking this journey on with a full head of steam and a full heart, it's Sean Chives.
Second nature, but for CSU Pueblo sophomore Aubrey Robinson, no step, jump, or shot was guaranteed. Last year, a terrible accident off the court threw her career and her life in jeopardy. Now, one incredible comeback later, Aubrey's determined to be an inspiration for others.
I know that I stayed on earth for a reason.
These are Aubrey Robinson's first steps back on the CSU Pueblo court. On the surface, they don't seem significant, and that's because you don't know Aubrey's story.
It was fun. I mean, the school really accepted me with open arms and really made me feel welcome.
A rising star at Sierra High, Aubrey had talent. She was getting noticed by scouts, newspaper reporters, and when it came time to pick a college, she stayed close to home.
She's a good player. That's what it boils down to here. She's a good player. She's skilled. She can play one-on-one, shoot the ball.
Last September, head coach Tommy Johnson was expecting a big year for Aubrey. As fall workouts began, she had one quick vacation planned, a family reunion in North Carolina.
Said, hey, it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. When you get back, we'll run you a little bit extra, get you in shape, go ahead out there and have some fun with your family. And about a day or so later, we get a call from her mom, and it was pretty chilling.
Last night, it was Sunday night, and we were just hanging out with cousins and stuff. We were just a little too fast. We didn't see the turn to my grandma's house. We ended up hitting the lip in the road and flew across 4 lanes into an embankment.
Aubrey and 3 family members were seriously hurt. The 5th person in the car died.
I couldn't open my eyes initially. You know that like screaming, screeching kind of voice in your ear? That's what I was hearing for the most part.
She had a lacerated liver, punctured lung, a skull fracture.
I had stretched my sciatic so bad that I didn't have any feeling in my left leg, so I had to learn how to walk again.
But Aubrey survived and immediately had one goal in mind.
Even the day after the accident, I had asked the nurses and stuff if I could get up and walk. They were kind of looking at me like I was crazy. Like, do you understand what happened? You want to, get up and move around.
She did. Aubrey had to relearn to walk every day, pushing herself just a bit more.
I would get to the therapist facility and, they'll be like, all right, we're going to go pretty light today. Let's just do about 5 reps. I'll be like, no, let's knock it up to 10. I'm feeling good today.
I'm pretty sure her doctors in Colorado Springs were pushing her to the limit. I think she was going above and beyond what they were asking her to do.
I had a goal now. I knew that, I had to get back 100% just so I could be ready for next year.
15 months after the crash, Aubrey was back on the court.
I was nervous, on the bus, just thinking about it. And when I stepped on the court, the nerves just went away. It was like I really felt comfortable.
Determination, it's Aubrey's fuel. While she appreciates every step, every shot, it's now about showing others there's nothing you can't accomplish.
There were times where I would want to give up, and I was second guessing if this, playing at the higher level was even for me, but I know that I stayed on earth for a reason.
We haven't appreciated how tough her journey has been sometimes because it went so quick. She's back. She's made no excuses. She's working hard in practice. She's the epitome of taking nothing for granted.
There are no fans at CSU Pueblo games, but Aubrey says her family was cheering and screaming at the live stream every time she touched the ball. Aubrey and the Pack are on holiday break. They return to the court January 2nd against Colorado Christian.